From split-second decisions to life-or-death confrontations, police pursuits are a relentless collision of strategy, danger, and human unpredictability. This analysis dives deep into the anatomy of dozens of real-life chases, revealing not just the tactics that officers use, but the moral dilemmas that unfold when control hangs by a thread. Welcome to the heart of pursuit policing, where every second counts and every choice matters. The script opens with a highly cinematic tone, introducing the audience to Police Chase, a dramatic collection of real-world incidents captured in dashcam and police body camera footage. It establishes itself as a gripping narrative through immersive audio cues such as applause and music, which emphasize the theatrical nature of these events. The introduction immediately sets expectations for an adrenaline-fueled series of encounters between law enforcement and civilians, punctuated by danger, unpredictability, and high stakes. The first case, in New Brunswick, New Jersey, presents a volatile domestic disturbance that escalates into a fatal confrontation. Deborah Terrell's actions, refusing entry to officers and threatening tenants with a knife, illustrate a situation of heightened tension. The officers' attempts at communication are met with hostility and erratic behavior. The sequence captures a chilling escalation. Terrell sliding a blade beneath the door, verbally refusing to engage, and eventually confronting officers with lethal force. The deployment of pepper spray and a taser marks a shift from negotiation to force. Ultimately, the officer's use of a firearm results in her death. This opening incident encapsulates the volatility of police work, highlighting how quickly situations can transform from routine checks to lethal outcomes. Transitioning to El Paso, Texas, the script chronicles a high-intensity gunfight during a domestic dispute. Salvador Valdebso emerges armed, igniting an exchange of fire that injures an officer and results in Valdez's death. The scene emphasizes the danger officers face in responding to disturbances, where the unknown variables of an incident, a concealed weapon, a suspect's hostility, pose lethal risks. This segment also underscores the emotional gravity of police action, the casualties on both sides, and the lasting impact on the community. The inclusion of Valdez's background, his Navy service and medical career deepens the narrative, adding a layer of human complexity to the tragedy. It shifts the incident from a mere police report to a tragic human story, urging the audience to reflect on the personal dimensions behind the violence. From Texas, the narrative moves to Florida, where police conduct a high-stakes arrest of a suspect linked to violent crimes and armed offenses. Nason Bacon's pursuit and capture with the aid of K9 Red introduces another aspect of police work, the strategic deployment of specialized units. The description of Bacon fleeing, hiding and resisting arrest adds suspense. This scene also highlights the procedural dimension, surveillance operations, pursuit tactics, and coordinated police efforts leading to multiple arrests. The involvement of K9 units adds intensity, showcasing the integration of trained animals in dangerous law enforcement operations. The chase and capture are presented not merely as action sequences but as the culmination of investigative work, reinforcing the narrative that these pursuits often result from lengthy police efforts and coordination. Brooklyn, New York, introduces another confrontation, this time a violent gunfight between civilians observed by patrolling officers. Eddie Neeson-Bodai's exchange of gunfire and the officer's intervention reflects the unpredictability of police work. The account of this incident focuses on immediate response, arriving in the midst of gunfire, the split-second decisions to shoot, and the rapid detainment of suspects. This section vividly conveys the chaotic nature of policing in urban environments where violence can erupt without warning, requiring instant action. It also highlights procedural follow-ups, capturing the fleeing suspect, arresting accomplices, and the subsequent filing of charges, presenting a holistic picture of law enforcement from incident to legal processing. A stark shift in tone arrives in San Antonio, Texas, where a traffic stop escalates unexpectedly. Alejandro Vitella's resistance and threats introduce a psychological and procedural dimension. The dialogue reflects the tense interplay between officers and suspects during routine stops. Vitella's refusal to identify himself and sudden threats with a firearm culminate in deadly force. The subsequent revelation that Vitella was unarmed adds complexity to the case. This incident poses deeper questions about threat perception, the split-second decisions made in law enforcement, and the tragic consequences of misunderstandings or misinterpretations in high-pressure situations. It forces the audience to confront the ethical dimensions of police encounters, particularly when they end fatally despite the absence of an actual weapon. The section continues with a variety of high-tension cases, illustrating a broader pattern. Police work is a mix of calculated tactics and unpredictable chaos. The incidents in Siler City, North Carolina, and Marion County, Florida, further reinforce this theme. In each, seemingly routine stops escalate into dangerous confrontations involving firearms or evasive behavior. Dashcam footage and officers' direct dialogue capture the immediacy and uncertainty of these encounters. These stories also reveal a consistent pattern, officers balancing the need to enforce the law with the necessity to protect themselves and the public. The narrative technique of presenting verbatim dialogue immerses the audience into the scene, allowing them to witness the tension, hesitation, and rapid escalation in real time. This first section of the script establishes the central tone of Police Chase, raw, unfiltered depictions of high-risk policing. It blends procedural detail with dramatic storytelling, creating a gripping narrative flow. Each case contributes to an overarching portrait of modern policing, one defined by rapid escalation, split-second judgment calls, human vulnerability, and the constant interplay between danger and control. Through immersive language and vivid incident recounting, the section sets a powerful foundation for the following parts of the analysis, promising a continuation of these intense real-world stories. Section 2 of the script maintains the intensity and momentum established in Section 1, delivering a sequence of varied and dramatic police encounters that reveal the unpredictable nature of law enforcement work. The tone remains immersive and cinematic, continuing to weave together verbatim dialogue, dashcam audio cues, and officer narration to draw the audience deeper into the chaos and human stakes of these confrontations. The section opens with a Riverside, California incident, a high-risk situation involving a carjacking, pursuit, and armed suspect. The scene is depicted as a fast-moving sequence, with officers reacting to unfolding developments in real time. The suspect's attempt to flee into an apartment complex adds a layer of spatial complexity to the pursuit, introducing the challenge of containing dangerous individuals in dense, civilian-populated areas. The officers' coordinated pursuit and quick apprehension highlight the strategic teamwork required in high-stakes policing. The description of the fleeing suspects, the use of firearm threats, and the eventual capture illustrate the balance officers must strike between aggressive pursuit and the safety of the public. The narrative moves to Oklahoma City, where a pursuit involving Benjamin Plank unfolds. This scene underscores how high-speed pursuits can escalate into prolonged chases that test both officers and suspects. The detail that Plank was towing a boat trailer while fleeing amplifies the danger, introducing a unique hazard. The chase's trajectory, stretching across highways and culminating at a military base, adds cinematic drama, with real-world stakes heightened by the potential for catastrophic accidents. The officer's decision to contain and arrest Plank without further escalation shows the combination of persistence and tactical decision-making central to law enforcement work. The dialogue included in this sequence conveys the urgency and strain of a pursuit, where every second matters and decisions must be made in split seconds. The Buffalo, New York incident deepens the emotional complexity of the script. Here, a traffic stop evolves into a dangerous flight, when Devon Roberts speeds away with a child in the vehicle. This situation layers risk, not just to officers and civilians on the road, but to an innocent child's life. The narrative captures the split-second decisions officers face under extreme pressure. The officer's choice to fire at a fleeing vehicle carrying a child raises critical, ethical questions about the balance between stopping a suspect and safeguarding life. Roberts' death and the discovery of a hidden handgun add complexity, reinforcing how quickly routine encounters can spiral into tragedy. This segment highlights the moral and procedural dilemmas in policing, especially when vulnerable individuals, such as children, are involved. The segment then moves into the realm of prolonged pursuits, presenting a variety of cases that underscore police persistence and tactical improvisation. The series of high-speed chases, including those in Fond du Lac County, Arkansas, and multiple incidents on Interstate 30, depict the physical and psychological endurance required by law enforcement officers. These pursuits vary in nature, from drug-related offenses to reckless driving, yet they share core elements: high risks, unpredictability, and the potential for violence. Officers' use of pit maneuvers, spike strips, and coordinated blocking techniques illustrates their reliance on specialized training and tactical planning to neutralize threats while minimizing collateral harm. These detailed descriptions reflect the procedural realities of policing as much as they dramatize them. The script also begins to explore the global dimension of police pursuits. The Russian chase introduces a striking contrast, showing a scenario where pursuit protocols, public reaction, and officer tactics differ from those in the U.S. The intoxicated truck driver's reckless flight becomes a near-cinematic confrontation. The officer leaning out of a moving vehicle to fire at tires stands out as an extreme example of police initiative under peril. This case broadens the scope of the narrative, reminding viewers that police pursuits are not uniquely American phenomena. They occur worldwide, shaped by local laws, resources, and policing culture. The Russian incident also reinforces the dangers of impaired driving and the lengths to which law enforcement must go to stop it. The Arkansas State Police pursuit that follows underscores how routine stops can escalate dramatically. The description of the chase, with the suspect swerving between patrol cars, resisting maneuvers, and driving at dangerously high speeds, creates a visceral depiction of police work at its most intense. The use of multiple pit maneuvers to end the pursuit reflects tactical precision. This scene reinforces a recurring theme. Pursuits often end not through single decisive actions but through coordinated, iterative strategies involving multiple officers. The aftermath, the discovery of a massive stash of drugs, transforms the incident into more than a chase. It becomes a story of law enforcement uncovering deeper criminal activity through pursuit operations, showing the dual value of such chases in both enforcement and intelligence gathering. The section closes with a continued emphasis on dramatic high-speed confrontations. The narrative threads together various pursuits across states and scenarios, each illustrating a facet of policing, whether it's the unpredictability of civilian behavior, the importance of officer coordination, or the moral hazards of split-second decisions. The script's persistent use of dialogue and environmental audio cues continues to immerse the audience in the reality of police work, allowing them to experience the tension as if present at the scene. By the end of Section 2, the narrative has firmly established a central rhythm. Cases are presented as interconnected moments of chaos, danger, and calculated risk, framed by a style that blends documentary realism with cinematic drama. This section reinforces that police chases are far more than physical pursuits. They are microcosms of the challenges, decisions, and moral complexities of law enforcement. Each incident reveals the stakes, not only for suspects and officers but for the broader community. In doing so, the section sets up the expectation that the remaining portions of the script will continue to explore these themes through equally intense encounters, culminating in a comprehensive portrait of modern policing under pressure. Section 3 of the script continues its high-intensity, cinematic documentation of police work, shifting from earlier individual incidents to a series of interwoven chases and confrontations that reveal both the dangers and the tactical complexity of law enforcement. This section deepens the portrayal of pursuits as unpredictable, high-stakes interactions that challenge police officers' judgment, endurance, and coordination. The section begins with another fast-paced pursuit scenario, this time involving high-speed chases that highlight how split-second decisions shape outcomes. The repeated references to heat and officer dialogue, heat function as both a narrative device and a dramatic cue, immersing the audience in the urgency of the pursuit. This rhythm mirrors the adrenaline-charged reality of police operations, where tension builds with each passing second. These scenes are crafted to put the audience inside the experience, allowing them to feel the stress, danger, and complexity of high-speed chases. The narrative gives particular attention to the tactical maneuvers officers use to bring suspects to a stop. PIT maneuvers, precision immobilization technique, are described in detail across multiple incidents. These moments stand out as technical, strategic elements that distinguish professional law enforcement work from chaotic pursuits. The repeated use of such tactics underscores the importance of training, coordination, and precision in pursuit resolution. Officers do not simply chase suspects, they actively manage the risk to themselves, the public, and even the fleeing suspects, balancing aggressive pursuit with safety protocols. The section also underscores the variety of circumstances that lead to pursuits. Some begin with minor traffic violations, others with violent crime reports, and still others with broader patterns of suspect behavior under investigation. This diversity reflects the unpredictable nature of police work. Any stop, any encounter, has the potential to escalate into a life-threatening situation. The inclusion of dialogue and live audio clips conveys this unpredictability in visceral form. Officers react in real time to suspect behavior, demonstrating both adaptability and reliance on training under intense pressure. One notable narrative thread in this section involves multi-jurisdictional and protracted chases. These incidents, spanning multiple counties or involving interstate pursuits, highlight the challenges of coordination across law enforcement agencies. They also underscore the endurance aspect of police chases. Officers must maintain focus and coordination over long distances and periods of time. The script presents these pursuits as endurance tests for both suspects and police, with outcomes dependent on strategic persistence rather than brute force alone. These prolonged encounters are framed almost like cinematic set pieces, with shifting perspectives, audio cues, and alternating moments of chaos and control. Another significant element is the way Section 3 brings forward the moral complexity inherent in police chases. Several of the cases described involve suspects who are not only fleeing, but also endangering themselves and others. This raises difficult ethical questions. How far should officers go in pursuit? What risks are acceptable? How should the safety of the public be weighed against the imperative to apprehend a suspect? The script implicitly invites viewers to wrestle with these questions, offering multiple examples where pursuit decisions lead to injury or death, and where suspects' motivations and mental states remain unclear until after the fact. This creates a layered narrative where each incident is not just an action sequence, but also a case study in moral decision-making under pressure. The section also develops a recurring theme of the unpredictability of suspect behavior, from fleeing in unconventional vehicles such as ATVs to engaging in reckless maneuvers at high speed. Suspects in Section 3 frequently challenge standard pursuit protocols. These moments underscore the ingenuity, risk-taking, and danger inherent in such encounters. The narrative treats these events not just as crime stories, but as human dramas, in which chaos can erupt from ordinary situations. This approach keeps the audience engaged and emphasizes the human dimension behind law enforcement statistics and reports. This part of the script also begins to broaden its scope geographically and culturally. While the bulk of incidents occur in the United States, references to pursuits in other locations, as in earlier sections, remind the audience that the challenges of policing and high-speed chases are universal. The comparison between different jurisdictions also adds depth to the narrative, allowing for implicit commentary on the variations in police tactics, resources, and legal frameworks around the world. This elevates the script beyond a simple catalogue of incidents, framing it instead as a global examination of pursuit policing. Throughout Section 3, the use of direct quotes and dash-cam-style dialogue continues to be a powerful narrative device. These moments of raw, unfiltered communication between officers and suspects give the audience an immersive sense of immediacy. They convey the uncertainty of these encounters, the rapid-fire decision-making, and the emotional intensity of confrontations. This stylistic choice deepens the realism of the narrative and strengthens its dramatic impact. By the close of Section 3, the script has expanded its portrayal of police pursuits into a sustained study of risk, tactics, and human behavior. It has shown that these encounters are rarely straightforward. They are shaped by a combination of strategic planning, split-second judgments, human unpredictability, and the high stakes of modern policing. Section 3 thus reinforces and deepens the central narrative established earlier. Police chases are not merely physical pursuits, but complex, morally charged interactions that reveal as much about law enforcement as about those they pursue. This section prepares the audience for the final part of the script, promising a continuation of intense pursuit sequences, along with deeper reflections on their broader implications for policing, public safety, and justice. The narrative momentum built here sets the stage for a powerful conclusion, one that will bring together the themes of danger, unpredictability, tactical precision, and ethical complexity that run through the entire script. Section 4 serves as the climax and resolution of the narrative, bringing together the threads of chaos, tactical precision, unpredictability, and moral complexity that have been woven throughout the earlier sections. This part of the script focuses heavily on the culmination of high-speed pursuits, the final confrontations between police and suspects, and the broader implications of these encounters for policing and public safety. The section opens with a string of high-intensity pursuits that reinforce the relentless nature of police work. By this stage, the narrative has established a rhythm of escalating tension, and Section 4 sustains this momentum by presenting the most dramatic and consequential encounters. Officers' use of advanced tactics, including pit maneuvers, spike strips, coordinated blocking, and canine intervention, is now framed as a matter of necessity rather than option. This reinforces one of the script's core messages. Successful pursuit resolution depends not just on speed but on careful planning, coordination, and split-second tactical decisions. The incidents described here continue to highlight the variety of contexts in which pursuits occur. The section covers everything from routine traffic stops escalating into life-threatening encounters to prolonged chases across jurisdictions to pursuits triggered by suspected violent crime. This variety underscores the unpredictable nature of policing. No two chases are the same. Officers must be prepared for a range of scenarios, each demanding its own mix of restraint, aggression, and tactical adaptability. The section captures this reality by varying the pacing and intensity of the cases, creating a dynamic narrative that keeps the audience engaged. One of the recurring themes in Section 4 is the inevitability of escalation. In many of the incidents described, what begins as a minor traffic stop or routine check quickly spirals into a pursuit involving dangerous driving, aggressive suspect behavior, and significant risk to public safety. This escalation underscores the thin line that officers walk between order and chaos. The script treats this as a defining feature of police work, portraying pursuits as microcosms of the broader challenges officers face: rapid decision-making in unpredictable and often dangerous conditions, dialogue excerpts, officers shouting commands, suspects issuing defiant remarks, bring this dynamic to life, immersing the audience in the immediacy of the moment. Another significant element of this section is its focus on resolution. Each pursuit reaches a point of closure, whether through the successful use of a pit maneuver, a forced stop, or the apprehension of a suspect. These resolutions are described with precision, reflecting both the procedural and dramatic importance of bringing a chase to an end. The details of each final confrontation, the suspect's surrender, the arrest, the recovery of weapons, reinforce the stakes involved and the consequences of both the suspect's actions and the officer's responses. These moments of closure also serve a narrative purpose. They allow the audience to step back from the chaos and reflect on the costs, risks, and moral complexities of the pursuit. Section 4 also deepens the narrative's exploration of risk and consequence. Several cases end in injury or death, raising questions about the proportionality of force and the ethical dilemmas faced by officers in pursuit situations. These moments are not treated as isolated incidents, but as part of a larger pattern that the script uses to interrogate the nature of modern policing. The inclusion of aftermath details, such as hospitalizations, charges, and ongoing investigations, adds a documentary layer, reminding the audience that these events have real-world consequences far beyond the immediate pursuit. The section also expands the scope of the narrative by incorporating the global dimension of police pursuits. Earlier sections included examples from Russia and various U.S. states. Section 4 continues this approach, showing that the challenges of pursuit policing transcend geography. By placing American pursuits in a wider context, the script invites viewers to think about policing as a global phenomenon shaped by different laws, resources, and social contexts. This broad perspective strengthens the narrative's thematic depth, moving it beyond isolated case studies to a more comprehensive examination of pursuit policing as a universal challenge. Another critical dimension of Section 4 is its attention to the human element. The script continues to foreground officers' perspectives, their commands, decisions, and moments of doubt, while also showing suspects as unpredictable, often desperate actors. This human-centered approach ensures that the pursuits are not reduced to abstract displays of action, but are understood as interactions shaped by human behavior, judgment, and consequence. The dialogue excerpts, including moments of confrontation, negotiation, and surrender, give the audience insight into the emotional and psychological dimensions of pursuit policing. The closing portion of Section 4 shifts toward reflection and synthesis. The multiple pursuits presented earlier converge into a larger portrait of modern policing, a profession defined by high-risk decision-making, the constant interplay between control and chaos, and the moral complexities of using force in pursuit situations. The script frames pursuit policing as both a technical challenge and a moral one, requiring officers to balance the imperative to apprehend suspects with the duty to protect life. This thematic resolution ties together the narrative threads of the previous sections, giving the audience a sense of closure while leaving space for deeper questions about justice, accountability, and public safety. Finally, Section 4 reinforces the immersive cinematic style established throughout the script. The combination of real-time dialogue, sound cues, dash cam perspectives, and detailed procedural descriptions creates a vivid, multi-layered narrative that draws the audience into the intensity of police chases. By maintaining this style to the end, the section ensures that the script's conclusion is as engaging and impactful as its opening, leaving the audience with a lasting impression of the stakes, complexities, and realities of pursuit policing. In sum, Section 4 serves as both the climax and the reflective conclusion of the script. It ties together the themes of unpredictability, risk, tactical precision, and moral complexity, while offering a global perspective on police pursuits. This section makes clear that pursuits are not merely physical confrontations, but deeply human events, shaped by split-second decisions, moral dilemmas, and the constant interplay between order and chaos. It leaves the audience with a comprehensive understanding of pursuit policing as a high-stakes profession defined by danger, judgment, and the pursuit of justice.